Welcome to our video where we're going to discuss break-even point. Break-even point is a very important formula in business because we can use it to assess profitability in many numbers of settings where we can try to understand our fixed cost and what's going to be required to get into that profitable territory. So it's very important and frequently used. In this example, we're going to apply it to capacity. And we have an example here where Philip Nelson owns a fireworks store. He has fixed cost currently of $12,000 per month. And each firework assortment he sells costs on average $8. The average selling price for an assortment is $25. Well, I've given you the formula for break-even point over here. BEP, break-even point, is a quantity. Okay, and how we find it is we take our fixed cost as a numerator, and for the denominator, we take the revenue per unit. Okay, so revenue per unit minus the variable cost per unit. Now let's extract that from this statement up here. Philip's fixed costs are $12,000 per month. Okay, so this is a monthly figure, and each firework he sells costs on average $8. There's his variable cost. On average, $8 for each unit, and the average selling price for an assortment is $25. The revenue per unit would be that selling price of $25. Okay, so let's drop those numbers in using Excel in this yellow cell right here, so you know how to do it in Excel. That would be equals, let's look at the formula, equals the fixed cost of $12,000, right, divided by, and then we have to run a little subtraction in here, right? So we'll bracket $25 in revenue per unit minus the $8 in average cost per unit. And after we put those in, we just hit enter, and we got it. So Philip, what we know is that today, Philip has to sell 706 units each month to get to his break-even point. And when he's out of season, he probably has trouble with that sometimes. I'm making it up, right? But it could be because fireworks can be seasonal. And I would guess that in June every year, he grossly exceeds that 706 and just makes bags and bags of money because it is such a seasonal business. But anyway, Philip needs more capacity, and he's looking at trying to decide if he should expand his business. So here's our capacity question. If he does, his new fixed expenses will be $20,000 for a larger facility, but the average cost for a fireworks assortment will fall to just $5 due to Philip's higher purchase volumes. This means he can go out and negotiate, right? And he can say, well, I'm no longer buying that volume. I now have a much larger store, and or maybe it's a second store at another location, but together they add up to this cost. Say it however we want, right? And but he has a higher cost, but he's doing more volume is what he expects. So in his calculation, he's assuming that he's going to get a significant discount and be able to buy in a lot more volumes. If he's a good businessman, he should have some confidence in the reason for that more than hope or optimism, right? So anyway, let's assume he's right, and Philip is trying to decide what his break-even point is for this business if he expands it. His selling price remains $25, but his fixed cost goes up to $20,000 and his variable cost goes down to $5. Let's put it in the little yellow cell here, equals $20,000, our fixed cost, right, divided by, what's the difference? $25 selling price, let's put a bracket in there, $25 selling price minus $5. So he has a larger contribution margin, and he would need to sell 1,000 per month to get to break even. So this can inform his business decision. Philip can basically look at this and say, okay, if I do nothing, I know where I am and I know what my profitability is. If I expand the facility here, I can basically, take my $12,000 a month fixed cost, and I'm going to move it up for the opportunity to increase sales and reduce my variable cost per unit. But even given that optimism of getting that $8 down to $5, I still need to sell 1,000 before I get to my break-even point. Okay, and you can imagine that there's some other analysis you might do to continue down this path. If you owned that fireworks shop, you might do some of the scenarios of expected cost, right? But for this exercise, we are just expected value, But for this exercise, we just wanted to look at how to find that number. And that's what we did. I hope you enjoyed it and that it was informative for you. And that concludes the break-even point video.